Do you have anything advice? Yeah, additional point regarding how we shall protect ourselves against the virus? Besides like vitamin C, vitamin D, cell H plus, reduce smoking, reduce sugar.
One key too is just to breathe. It's I heard once that if you can take a good deep breath without coughing, you don't have COVID. And deep breathing is just the core. I always tell people in my lectures, you can live without food for maybe months. You can live without water for maybe a week or two. But how long can you live without oxygen, without breathing? Not
I
very long, maybe 10
see.
minutes, 15 minutes, and 1 minute, who knows how long, different people, different times. But it's the key to life. It's the fire. It's like the spark in a automobile. The gas has to have oxygen or it's not going to fire off for energy. And the other thing is cancers and other diseases love to live in a what's it called, anaerobic, not oxygen-free environment. Oxygen just feeds the body in a beneficial way. So you got to breathe. I mean, stresses and fears keep us from breathing, and very important. Just you don't have to do deep breathing. I mean, I do every morning. I do a little deep breathing just to open up the lungs and feed my brain and kick things in gear. But it's very beneficial to do so. And really have to change your diet. I don't call it a diet. Let's say your food choices, because there's so much junk on the market today. And countries like I'm not being critical, but it's just a fact. Countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and America have more obesity per capita probably than almost any place in the world. They have more diabetes than almost any place in the world. Of course, China probably has the most because it just has the most people, and probably India somewhere up there too. But
Yes.
we have to look at that and look at our food choices and what we can do to change that. And so Cell H Plus can really help in that respect.
Yes, I once read an article. It suggests that we do test to hold our breath every morning. If you can last at least 30 seconds, it means that your lungs are still working fine. So I did this test almost every day, and I feel like I can last more than 1 minute holding my breath. So I guess I'm free from COVID then.
Hold it, I'm only 15 seconds.
Like,
8, 9:30. Okay, I'm good.
okay.
You're great. 1 minute's fantastic.
Mm, thank you so much to Cell H Plus.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's people from Okinawa are known to be able, and from Burma too, to dive down into the deepest parts of the ocean, and they hold their breath for so, so, so long. They also live very long. And some people say it's a sake. I think it's, I'd like to think it's a sake. It's definitely has to do with how long they could with breathing and such. So it's just so important. I've traveled all over the world, some of the highest mountains where they have the purest water in the world, and air, like in Ecuador and in the Himalayas, and in even up in Russia. And these people live to be over 100 easily, and they have the highest levels in the world. There's a place in China. What's it called? It's called. Well, there's several. This one starts with a B. It's not Burma, but it's something close to. I mean, it's of course not Burma, but Bama, BAMA, and they have one of the highest centenarian uh, rates in the world, and they just have pure water there. They have pure air. It used to be. Now there's so much tourism there because they all want to find out why they live so long that it's getting kind of congested. And now you can see, the lifespan slowly coming down a little bit. You're introduced to more fast foods and fast worlds and things like that. But so important. I'll start doing that, Trish, every morning. I'm
Yes.
see how long I can hold it.
A new daily routine from tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can see that there are questions from the floor. They are seeking your advice, Dr. Mark, for current situation. You know, the pandemic in Malaysia, being having the Delta variant. So, what would you be your advice to on the consumption of Cell H Plus? Is it to suggest in the morning to at night? Would it be enough? All right, or you suggest or how many sachets per day for advice?
I feel 2 in the morning and 2 at night is a good level. It's quite a bit there. It's a strong product, but that would be a real good level right now to maintain the immune system and keep the body cells regenerating and functioning and keep everything active. When you think about it, the immune system is all made up of cells. It's all has to, not all, but majority of it has to do with the cells. We've got to feed those cells. The great thing about our product and why we call it a cell food and why we patented it as a cell food is because two main parts of it, the Cell H Plus, is that um, it is a cell food in two ways. One is it provides the amino acids that the body needs to create new cells. And of course, the antioxidants and the enzymes, which we just talked about, how essential they were to life, and all those new cells. But the amino acids help the regeneration. And then the type of carbohydrates we have in there, the polysaccharides, they're bioavailable so that the body takes them in a balanced way, not like a sugar, in a very balanced way, slowly enough, but absorbs them right into the system. When it does, it goes right into the cell and feeds those mitochondria so they can convert that to energy. So much of the carbohydrates and such these days are empty, and the body just says, no way, and rejects it. So what does it do with it? It stores it. Where does it store it? In fat. That's what happens. It just can't use it properly, and so it just tries to store it. And fat also stores toxins. It's the body's way of storing toxins. So, and that's why sometimes when people lose weight, when they start letting go of weight, we'll call losing and letting go of weight, they may have some detox symptoms come up because it can release some toxins. But I think the key is and the great thing about it in taking two twice a day right now, and if that's too much, if it tends to feel uncomfortable, slow down initially and then build back up. I mean, you could take 3 or 4 twice a day, and I still feel it would be very beneficial. But I think a good amount right now, especially with what's going on, is two twice a day. Okay.
All right. So basically, for a normal and healthy person, 2 sessions in the morning and 2 at night is already sufficient for one to maintain a healthy and balanced immune system. So how about a positive COVID patient? So for positive COVID patients, should they be consuming more on a daily basis?
They could, and it could possibly help. And I can't say, and I won't say because I'm not a licensed medical doctor and we don't want to be treating any disease, but it could empower your immune system and your innate wisdom. And you can try it and see if you feel better doing 3 or 4 twice a day. And it may really, really help. I know people it has helped. There's no doubt about it. Of course, a lot of people consult me, and I've had a couple of friends come near death, particularly because they didn't have the Cell H plus, but and weren't taking what they needed to. But and I've had a couple of friends die actually, but that's a different story. But it can really, really help. And I would look at a threshold of trying to see it. And of course, if they're in a hospital, they're going to have to talk to their physician before they take take it to make sure it's not interfering with any drugs. I mean, I can't think of any drugs it would interfere with because it's not a stimulator and it's not a suppressor. It's a modulator and a balancer, and it's like eating food. I mean, on the main part, but it's a concentrated food. You got to keep that in mind. I mean, there's some strong extracts in there, and so I keep looking at your face and not at the point, you know. So anyway, um, so they've got to keep in mind that they may get some, I don't want to call them reactions. I don't want to call it a detox. I just want to say that if it makes them feel uncomfortable, cut back. You know, if it makes you feel good, do it. My gosh, it's an opportunity because it's a food supplement. It's not a drug. It's not vitamins. It's not minerals. It's not a medicine. It is just a food. It's like eating some of the best food you can get. And it's not everything. You still need to eat food with it. It's not a meal replacement. I mean, I shouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but we've got some new products we're developing too. But anyway, that'll come down the line. Um, so they're going to be phenomenal. But it's not a food replacement, meal replacement. What it's there to do is to feed your cells and give them what they need. I mean, one twice a day can be sufficient for some people. And one thing you need to understand about Cell Age Plus, it's not it's not a high energy product. Well, I've known a lot of people who say, "Wow, I have so much energy on it," but it doesn't necessarily affect everybody that way. And I wouldn't want it to because it should be more balancing. It's a builder. It's a balancer. You know, the hormones are going to be functioning better. The brain's going to be functioning better. They'll be have more resistance to disease and just overall feel better. So that's what I like about it. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mark, for the responses. Would you explain more on ivermectin? Because it has been currently marketed as the cure for
Mm.
COVID as well.
Um,
Ivermectin.
I know people who are taking it. I don't know anybody who's taken it for corona. I've read so much literature on it, and I don't think the government has approved it yet in Malaysia or Indonesia that I'm aware of. They may have. I get somebody said it was fake news, and they said, yes, we're going to be using it in hospitals in Malaysia, and then found out it's only for research purposes. And if the patient asks for it, they're not necessarily going to get it. Whether it works or not, I cannot say. I mean, I have my feelings about it, but it's best I don't say here because it's a very controversial drug right now. Keep in mind, it's a drug. Ivermectin was developed by, if it's real ivermectin, developed by a Japanese Nobel Prize winner, and it's a microorganism, I think, from the soil. Let me think where it comes from. I think it's from the soil is where he got it. It's a microbe from something. Anyway, and it was used only for vets, and they used it to get rid of worms and animals. So it's a vermifuge, but apparently it has some viral benefits. But I don't know any of them. I've seen a lot of the research, but I don't know how much research these days that is published on the internet that's viable. That's the big problem. Like I said at the start, it's so great that we have internet and web these days because we learn so much, you know, so much available. You know, now that I'm 70, I forgot a lot of what I learned back when I was in medical school. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it's great, you know, I could just plug in something and it would just pull right up. Like certain drugs somebody's taken. I don't remember all the names of drugs. And they have so many new drugs these days that they have to keep abreast of. And so many new approaches to medicine, which are phenomenal and high tech that I'm not privy to. I haven't been trained on. So it's wonderful. But then on the other hand, there's so much fake news out there. It's hard to know which is which. I don't think ivermectin has many side effects. I would really recommend the artemisinin, and it's available. I mean, you can get Artemisa annua and artemisinin through Lazada, and I just like I said, I have some on hand. If anything ever happened, if I ever felt the symptoms coming on, I would take it because it's been proved to be an antiviral amongst many other things. And it too, it's a vermifuge. It gets rid of parasites. So it's interesting that those two grouped together, both of them were developed for getting rid of parasites. It was developed, I think, for a group in Africa for a disease they were catching out of water, as I recall. It wasn't Shigella. I don't remember the exact. I've been reading so much. What it's used for, but I know the artemisinin was phenomenal for malaria. You know, it was a cure for malaria, and the ivermectin was a cure for a disease. I'm pretty sure it was Africa that was killing so many people, and so they developed it. And it was a lifesaver, and then they found it to have a lot of other benefits. So I hope we find out in the near future, get real good research. The one problem with research and getting valid research and getting research that you can publish and is recognized is the drug companies are really the only ones who have enough money to do that kind of research. You've got to have double blind placebo studies, and you got to have 100, 500,000 people. Who has that kind of money? I mean, the research we did cost so much with the blood work and the testing and all of that went into it, coordination, and then the research you have to do on it, and the graphs and such. So all of that can be so expensive. I hope somebody has the initiative. I mean, it'd be great if Bill Gates were to do it, and say, hell yeah, let's try that ivermectin, see what happens. Let's do a big research study on it, publish it. Then I would endorse it. I mean, everybody would endorse it. I would hope doctors would too. But now, it's the other thing about ivermectin is it's cheap. And yeah, it's not high profit margin. So who knows? But that's what I say about ivermectin. And I would say I hope some research is done soon to authenticate it, validate it, if it's effective, because we need as much as we can. Okay.
Yes. All right. Yes. Actually, I'm also researching about this ivermectin, and apparently, I'm reading this site from FDA. There's not approved ivermectin for use in treating or preventing COVID-19 in humans. Yeah. So
FDA
probably
says that?
we shall wait. Pardon?
That's an FDA study?
Yeah, it's fda.gov is the official sites.
America FDA.
Yes, FDA. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then one of the advice that they give is that never use medications intended for animals on yourself.
Oh, they give that little tidbit in there, do they? To kind of denounce it, yet they say the research shows it works. Interesting. I'm from America, and I know the FDA quite well, and I shouldn't say anything negative about it on here. It's not good a good setting to do so, but I could tell you stories that are just unbelievable about the FDA. But anyway, and CDC and all of those. It's just they're big conglomerates and they make a lot of money what they do, but they do a lot of good things. I'd like to see that
Right.
research.
Yep. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark, for your sharing.
Yeah.
Pardon?
No more questions?
All right. Yeah, no more questions. That's
Really?
all for today.
Oh, that's unusual. Usually we have
Yeah.
20 or
So,
30.
is there anything that
No, I think
yeah,
everybody heard
usually we
enough.
have hundreds and hundreds of questions.
Yeah, I will look
All
up
right.
that.
So before we officially end this sharing today,
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
go ahead. We were getting a little delay
you
there.
were saying you were saying
I
yeah, you
will
were
look.
saying.
I will look up that FDA research in ivermectin. That would be very interesting because a lot of my friends are really, really believers in it. They even have a big website now. So, I'll look into it. I would really like to see what documented research they have on human trials. So, yeah. But keep in mind, it,
All
to
right.
use it in Malaysia and I think Indonesia, you have to have a prescription. It's considered a drug. It's not just OTC that I'm aware of.
All right. Thank you so much for the insightful sharing, Dr. Mark. So, before we officially end this Zoom seminar tonight, feel free to wrap up the session.
Oh, well, let's see. Well, thank you, Tricia. You're always great. Um, and I I feel most of what I said is so important, and two that don't get into the fear mode. It's kind of be conscientious. We have to be, and we have to care about others. I initially Fauci and all these people were saying, well, you wear a mask so you protect others. That masks don't necessarily protect you. And I go, really? And it's about you wear it in case you're infected and you care about other people. You don't want to infect them. You may not know it. In America right now, they just had 4th of July. People were partying everywhere without masks. I mean, I expect it to go haywire if they really show the true results. But also in America right now, many people just aren't going to get tested. They don't want to be one of the numbers. So many of them are staying home with the flu rather than going out and getting tested. And I don't think it's free in America right now. But anyway, so you never know if you have it or not. So it's better to be safe or sorry. And I could be wrong. I mean, it could be protective both ways. But what they originally said was that you protect other people in case you call for sneeze. And now with these new ones, the deltas and the variants, the alphas, the betas, the gammas, and the deltas, it could be worse. They're saying it's much more virulent, much more easy to transmit. So I would just say it's so much better to be safe than sorry. Unless I'm out jogging, I wear a mask all the time. If I see people coming with kids or whatever, I'll put the mask up. I mean, it's conscientious and it's courteous and it's respect. So, especially when you go to grocery stores or anywhere like that with lots of people, you got to be very, very vigilant and observant about, how different ways that you can contract it. But don't get into total fear mode, but just, like I said, conscientious mode. You've got to be aware that this is a reality. It's not made up anymore. I mean, there's certain things it could be that we're not aware of, but on the big part, these people are dying. Hospitals are full, and we don't want to be one of those. Earlier today, I was thinking about what I was going to say, and I was going, I could say, I don't know of anybody who takes CellH Plus who's gotten COVID yet. Now, and then I went, well, that couldn't be bona fide because I don't really know. That would be a hype that I can't validate. I don't have the evidence to prove. So, but I must say this: I don't know anybody, and I've talked to the leaders too, who's gotten seriously ill who takes CellH Plus on a regular basis. So maybe that says something. If somebody has, I'd like to know and can look at that. And of course, my earlier suggestions, and I do want to say this: get some vitamin D, everybody. 5-10 minutes a day, just take a walk or whatever, and get a little on your body, on your skin. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to get naked on your patio or out in the wherever, but get a little bit. That's our life force. If we don't have the sun, what do we have? It gives life to everything, every plant, every animal, every human being. Everything has to have life, even the water. So, for its photosynthesis. So we've got to really keep that in mind, because that is one of the keys of the immune system, and they've proven that. My good friend in Indonesia who almost died of COVID, he was on a respirator for a while, and they tested his vitamin D. It was so small. He couldn't believe it himself. And then he did more research and found out that that's been the case with most hospitalized patients when they tested their blood and did vitamin D, that their levels were very, very low. And it's hard to get in food. So, there's a free source out there. So I just encourage you all to do that. And I, there's parts of your body that can be a little brown.
All right. Speaking of sunlight, actually, morning sunlight and afternoon sunlight and evening sunlight, would it be the same when we taking the vitamin D from the sun, or is there any specific time that you would advise so that we can get the right amount of vitamin D?
I've always heard that the morning sun is best, and but you may not have an opportunity to morning. You may walk in the afternoon wherever it is, but to not get full exposure, from 12 to 4, 3 or 4, because that's the highest UV rate too. But when it's lower in the sky, you can still get the vitamin D, but not get the excessive UV. Um, yeah, I've always heard that that's much better.
Yeah. So you would recommend around like 7 or 8 in the morning, or maybe 5 or 6 in the evening?
Yeah, 7 till 10, maybe even 11 here. Um, After that, it starts getting pretty warm, but even when does the sun come up? About 7, doesn't it, in Malaysia? So yeah, 7 to 10 is a great time to take a short walk, just 10, 15-minute walk, deep breathing, and get some good sunshine. The air in Malaysia is so wonderful. It's amazing. Of course, when Indonesia isn't burning and there's, all not that's not all going on, but it's been so pure lately. It's just incredible. I just, wow, fresh, pure air. And that's something to appreciate here too. Um, and almost every morning's sunny, just about every morning. So there's no excuses to get out, take a short walk. You serve many, many purposes there. You get your exercise, you get your sunshine, you get your oxygen. And you'll feel better. People will feel better. They'll be happier. They'll get more done during the day. That's all been shown. They're more productive. Feel better about life. So it's a big difference in sitting around watching Netflix all day long. That gets really boring, I tell you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mark. And thank you so much to all of you here.